downtown Decatur. It's the Faber Files. Hello, I'm your host, Bill Faber. Because democracy demands debate, we present this program, Public Access TV, to cover the interests and issues of the Decatur community and Macon County. This evening's special guest is candidate Andy Manar, Senate candidate for the new 48th District. Let me just give you a little bio about Andy before we begin our interview. Andy was born and raised in Macoupin County. He and his wife Tris have 3 children, ages 7, 5, and 3. Andy holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree in history from Southern Illinois University. He also maintains a teacher's certificate. He has lived all his life in Central Illinois. He served as mayor of Bunker Hill, a small community just south of the Raymond area, and later he became elected the youngest chairman of the Macoupin County Board. Welcome to the show, Andy Manar.
Thanks for having me, Bill.
So we have a new 48th district, and you're the candidate. Mm-hmm. How are things shaping up for your campaign?
Well, it's busy. It's busy. It's a daily effort on the part of many volunteers, and we've approached the campaign from a truly grassroots level. I believe in exercising campaigns from the bottom up. So to say we have a grassroots organization would be an understatement.
You know, finances is a real problem for America, for the state, and for the counties. Here in Macon County, Jay Dunn and the board is really working together on a real bipartisan basis, and we're one of the better counties financially because of that leadership. And you've been recognized for the leadership that you provided in Macoupin County as chairman of the board. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we, a few years ago, we experienced what would be plainly said a crisis. We had 2 of our 3 coal mines in Macoupin County close in a matter of about 4 months. We lost hundreds of jobs, and we lost about 20% of the county's revenue. And so we had a choice to make. It was, are we going to spend money we don't have, or are we going to live within our means? So like here in Macon County, we decided that we were going to work in a bipartisan fashion, not just to work for the sake of bipartisanship, but to work toward a balanced budget and really reforming county government. That's what we did.
And you were able to do that in a way without laying off a bunch of guys.
Yeah, today we haven't laid off a single county employee, and our mine closures actually happened prior to the economic downturn, which of course affected every local government in the 48th District and in downstate Illinois. So we went through 2 processes. First we had mine closures, and then we had the economic downturn, and I'm very proud of the fact that we viewed layoffs on the county level as contributing to unemployment and cutting services, and we've avoided that thus far.
Sure. You cut guys' jobs, and you cut the ability of them to buy stuff in the community.
Right, and more so, you cut services that people rely on, and that was our biggest goal, was to maintain employment and to preserve core services of county government.
An issue that you're concerned with, and because you will even hold a teaching certificate, is education. What are your thoughts and ideas about education in the 48th District?
Yeah, this is an issue that spans all school districts in the 48th District, from Springfield and Decatur all the way to Montgomery County and even Madison County. And the issue that is largest on my mind comes from my experience as being a father and being a product of public schools, and that's the disparity between school districts in Illinois that have plenty of resources and school districts that are challenged to find resources. And unfortunately, we find ourselves in our area as some of the school districts that have the greatest financial challenges in the state. So if elected, one of my top goals would be to work toward an effort to bridge the gap between school districts that have and those that have not. That has to happen. We have to levelize that playing field so that all kids have the same opportunities.
You know, there are charges made that the public school system in America is kind of failing. But that's not really correct. It's failing in some areas, and it's excelling in many other areas of our communities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I look back on my own experience, and I had phenomenal teachers. I just the other day I was going door to door in a town, Mount Olive in Macoupin County, and I knocked on a door, and it was my kindergarten teacher who gave me a big hug as soon as she saw me. And I look back on my own experience in the public school system, and I had phenomenal individuals who went into the teaching profession, and I think that's one of the highlights of our school system. Where we can improve, though, is we can say that we're not going to let where you live determine how much the state's investment is in your child's education, and that's an effort that I hope to be part of.
That is the real vision of like Dewey when they was developing the public school idea, that we would have equality of education, that we would all come together to learn about how to be citizens together in the American democracy.
Yeah, absolutely, and it shouldn't matter whether you live in one community or another. The state's investment in public education should be across the board, and we have a constitutional duty that we have to live up to that we're not meeting today. And unfortunately, local school boards are put in a position to having make very difficult choices because the legislature has made cuts to important programs like the transportation line item and general state aid, and those are things that matter to downstate schools and matter to schools in the 48th district.
You know, as a guy who knows about history, you and I both understand that democracy is a very, very fragile institution. And that for democracy to succeed, its citizens have to be alert, involved, and educated. And I would say, quite frankly, that that's not the state of our democracy in America or in Illinois.
Yeah, we've that's an interesting point, Bill, because we've tried to make part of our campaign has been to get young people involved. Many of those people, this is their first involvement in a political campaign, and them exercising that little piece of democracy is an interesting thing to watch. And it's something that I've been very blessed with so far in this campaign, and getting young people involved. And I would say this for both sides of the aisle, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, getting young people involved is a very, very important part of preserving democracy and running elections and getting people out to vote. Those are all good things.
Mm-hmm. You know, Andy, that's one of the purposes and reasons for this show, to present debate and information about our community and the interests, because nowhere else in this community will candidates be interviewed on television and given this opportunity to present themselves and their views so that the electorate can know who they're voting for.
Yeah, it's a very good service.
So in terms of your platform then, Andy, what's paramount as you begin your campaign here in the 48th District?
Yeah, my experience thus far in the campaign, and this comes from knocking on thousands of doors so far, and we have many more to go. But first and foremost, what's on people's minds, what they tell me about is the state of the economy in downstate Illinois. Certainly, we have a lot of work to do, and that starts at the top, and that starts by building a coalition to try to get something done in the legislature. So we have to come up with a plan that produces a result for people here in central Illinois and here in Decatur, and we have to produce jobs that people can raise a family on. That's first and foremost. The second thing we've talked about, there's a lot of concerned parents in regards to how schools are funded, and they're worried about the future of public education on the local level, and I think that's a concern that's warranted. People with young children are very concerned about cuts that are happening, and they see disparity between school districts in Illinois, between upstate and downstate, and they want something done about them. And I don't blame it. Having 2 children in the public schools next year, I see those things firsthand, and I share their concern. And third is a little more intangible, but I think people have lost faith in state government as an institution that can produce positive results for central Illinois, and I hope to be part of reforms that can happen on both the local level and the state level to put some of that faith back into place.
You know, the government is us. And I agree with you, Andy, that it's really important that we have the best men and women we can to be candidates and not shy from the endeavor.
Yeah, and I've always taken the approach back to when I was first elected alderman when I was 20, I believe I was 21. You might have to look at my bio there, Bill, but I think I was 21 years old, and my approach has always been the more people involved in the political process, albeit a candidate, albeit volunteers, albeit voters, the better the chance of the outcome is going to be positive. So to me, the more people involved, and that even means candidates, even over the course of me being on the ballot several times on local level, the more the merrier, in my opinion.
Sure. Kind of the church works that way. I know in our church, the people who are most involved are most committed. And the more people we have involved in the church, the better it runs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So in terms of democracy, again, I'm really interested in your view about allowing independent candidates to be more accessible to the ballot. That's a really extraordinary step for a Democratic or a Republican candidate to take.
Yeah, I actually, I took a public position on this a few weeks ago when independent and third-party candidates filed for state offices such as the state Senate or the state House or for Congress in Illinois. That happened a few weeks ago. And I actually met the gentleman, Mr. Oberline, who's running as a Constitution Party candidate in the 48th Senate District, would be my opponent, along with Mr. McElroy. And he told me, which I knew, but he reminded me that independent and third-party candidates have to have 3 times the number of signatures as a Democrat running for the same office. I think that's complete nonsense. There's no reason why one person of one political party should have a larger threshold to cross in terms of the number of signatures needed to be a valid candidate as opposed to someone else in another party. So in my opinion, that playing field should be leveled so that more participation happens.
Yeah, because 3,000 signatures is a lot. It's
yeah,
a lot of work.
That's an incredible amount of signatures that have to be valid to be a valid candidate on the ballot, and there's a process that has to be gone through. But my point is, go back to what we talked about a few minutes ago. I'm always of the belief, even though Mr. Oberline is an opponent, I'm always of the belief that the more people in a race, the better, because you have more ideas. The candidates have to stand on their own 2 feet and explain how they feel about issues, just like we're doing here, and that makes the outcome all the better, in my opinion.
Well, that's a very confident position to take.
Yeah, well, I think it also makes all the candidates have to be a little better.
Yes.
At what they do,
Sure.
and it has to make them answer more questions, and I think that serves the voters better at the end of the day.
In terms of your vision of politics and democracy, who are your political heroes or your American heroes?
Well, that's a good question. I've yet to be asked that question so far, but I would say Abraham Lincoln. He faced incredible obstacles when he ran for the U.S. Senate, and he lost, and then he ran for the presidency, and he was handed probably a set of circumstances that no other president has had to deal with in the course of our history. So I would say he's first and foremost in my mind. I am a history major, so I do a lot of reading about Lincoln. So I look to him for a little inspiration in terms of the obstacles that he had to overcome when he was a public servant.
An extraordinary character and personality. The more you get into his life history, the more fascinating and the more admiration you have for the guy. Locally here, Andy, probably a real large political figure and stands in our memory is Penny Severance. She was loved and liked, and I can remember her walking our neighborhood, pounding on the doors, and she greeted with a smile and was so passionate about politics and helping the people.
Yeah, she and a gentleman who was a dear friend of mine before he passed away, Vince DiMuzio, were very good friends. They were colleagues in the Senate for many years, and like Vince, my impression of Penny was that she was always accessible to voters. She didn't shy away from just conversations with anyone who wanted to talk to her. She was very grounded in the community, like Vince DiMuzio, and even though like Vince served in the Senate for nearly 30 years, people would say that over the course of that time he never changed, and I think that's what people would still say about Penny, and I think that's admirable, because most people would say those traits are lacking today in politics, and I think you look back at especially those 2 individuals, and you get inspiration from those people as well.
When the Decatur folks go to the voting booth to pull the lever, they're going to have a choice between you and the present mayor, Michael McElroy. So how would you talk to the voters of Decatur as to why they should pull the lever for you, who live a little bit away from us, as opposed to Mayor McElroy?
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I have a solid track record of balancing budgets without major or any reductions in services. So first and foremost, my history has been I can balance a budget. I have proven that time and again without avoiding service cuts and layoffs. First and foremost, our fiscal house is in order in Macoupin County, and that's what we need in state government today. Second of all, I don't make it a habit of running around and bashing my opponent or just people, period. That's not how I approach these things. But second of all, I think we need someone who can bring about meaningful reform to the state government. I think that's desperately needed, and that's what people are telling me they want to see in the next state senator. I have shown I can do that on the local level in Macoupin County. Not only have we balanced our budget, but the first thing we did after our mine closures was we looked at ourselves as a county board, and we decided that we were going to vote to put 9 of us out of a job. So we reduced our county board from 27 members to 18. We reduced the number of committees. We cut our pay, and we did something that a lot of people thought was unthinkable, is we repealed what was a very costly pension perk for elected officials in Macoupin County because we couldn't afford it anymore. And we made meaningful reforms on a bipartisan basis that really turned Macoupin County government upside down. And today, many years later, people look back and say that was a little contentious, but they say that was a bipartisan effort that today has proved very, very good for the taxpayers of Macoupin County.
Sure. Reading your biography and knowing your experience, it seems to me that you bring to the table the ability to be effective from day one.
Yeah, I mean, effectiveness is a key part of what people get into public service for in the first place. And I've always approached public service as what can I do today, to help my community. That's what I've always done, all the way back to when I ran for alderman. I actually ran for alderman when I was 21 years old because I thought that our sidewalks were in poor shape, and I was frustrated with city government because I didn't think they were acting fast enough to replace sidewalks. So I ran for alderman because I was going to fix that, and we put in a program in place to do it. Now I realize that's small potatoes, but it's that kind of effectiveness that I think we need in Springfield.
In our local community, one of the things I say to the folks is that, for example, our parks. The parks should be kept in just absolutely the best condition for the people, because the parks are the commons for the people. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of reflects on how the government feels about serving its people.
Yeah, absolutely. We shortly after being elected mayor, we had a town hall, and the one thing that everyone said was we need a park in Bunker Hill. We don't have a park, and so we brought people to the table. Again, not just to bring people to the table so we can all look at each other and smile, but we brought people to the table so we could actually put something in motion that changed our community for the positive forever. Today we have an 18-acre city park with a fishing pond, with a running trail, with ball fields, with all kinds of amenities for families to spend time with together. People have family reunions there. People don't have to drive to another community to see their child play t-ball. Like I can see my children in town now instead of having to drive to a neighboring community. Those are small changes, but again, going back to this race for the Senate, it's the question in front of voters is who can be the most effective about bringing reform to the state Senate.
When you look at the new 48th district, it's a whopper. How will you plan on serving Decatur, since your home and down in Bunker Hill is a couple hours drive away almost?
Yeah, you have to work hard, and that's what I plan to do. That's how I've been operating our campaign thus far. And to me, geography is not an obstacle, and it shouldn't be an obstacle. Most Senate districts in downstate are minimal of all or parts of 6 counties, which the 48th district is all or parts of 6 counties. Some are as many as 12 or 13 or 14, I believe. So it is a challenge, but certainly if you have someone who's devoted to the effort and who is running to serve, I think that can be achieved.
Based on your experience both in the political field and as a teacher, what would you recommend to a viewer, a mom or dad who wanted to get involved in politics or wanted to guide their son or daughter into politics?
Well, I think you made the important point earlier, Bill, that the ability to change your community or change what you don't like around you really is in the palm of your hand, and it can be exercised any number of ways. Certainly voting for or against or supporting a candidate is a very easy way to do it. But I would say that if people want to be involved, they should find an outlet to be involved, and maybe that isn't a political campaign. Maybe it's a community group or a neighborhood organization, or maybe it's your church. Maybe it's being involved in the YMCA or at the library. There's any number of avenues, but our campaign is about bringing change to Central Illinois, and it's being we have very good support across the district, across the 6 counties. It's growing every day because our message is simple. We want to change the way things are done here. We're concerned about our economy. We're concerned that the state is investing in job growth in places in Illinois that already have low or lower unemployment than we do. Where's our investment? for Central Illinois. The state is investing money in schools that already spend upwards of $20,000 per student, and most school districts in the 48th district spend about 6 or 7, if that. So where's our investment from the state? People are losing faith in state government, and our campaign is about putting people together and try to restore a little bit of that faith through institutional reforms and change.
If a viewer wanted to contact you or your campaign, from the Decatur community, who do they call and how do they get in contact with your staff?
Yeah, the best way is to go to our website, which is andy4senate.com, and we have offices here in Decatur, which is a very busy and active office. We have an office in Springfield, and we have an office in Macoupin County, and all 3 of those offices are fully staffed, and all the phone numbers are listed on the website.
In terms of your campaign right now, how are things going as you assess it?
Well, it's busy. It's busy, and the district is very competitive in terms of its politics. So this is going to be a competitive race, and it's going to take a lot of hard work and a lot of volunteer support.
How is demographically? How is the breakdown? Do you have any understanding of that?
Well, it's in terms of its politics.
Right.
It's middle of the road.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's as urban as it is rural. It's as Democrat as it is Republican. So this is going to be a competitive race for the state senate.
Who is, for example, in the Decatur area, who is your campaign leader, your campaign manager?
Oh, we have many individuals, going back to when I had my announcement for the office at the Ceasefire House on North Main Street, which was way back in September of last year. But Lisa Stanley, who is a longtime Decatur resident, has been with me since day one, helping me on my campaign. We have many elected officials in the county, many of the Democratic Precinct Committeemen, many independents have called me and said, I want to help out on your campaign in Decatur.
In terms of endorsements, what are the leading endorsements you've received so far?
Yeah, the most recent one would be the Illinois AFL-CIO and the Illinois Federation of Teachers are the most recent 2. Most of our endorsements are listed, if not all of them, are listed on the website, and we've actively tried to earn those endorsements from groups both locally and statewide organizations because it's a validation of broad appeal and broad support.
As we close out our interview, Andy, is there any message that you would like to give to the voters as they, evaluate whether they should pull that lever for you in November?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Bill. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk to you.
Very welcome.
This is an important race, and we have important choices to make. And the race in front of us is pretty simple. We need someone who can go to Springfield and be a reformer, and who has a proven track record of balancing a budget on the local level and can take those successes to the state senate. And that's what I plan to do.
Good luck, Andy Manar.
Thank you.